question I always get is, which infill pattern should you use for 3D printing? These patterns can increase your print strength, help you print faster and save material, and they can even make your parts more flexible, like when you're printing with CPU, for example. But if you didn't know that the main purpose of infill is to work as internal support inside the part, then we've got a lot to talk about. So stick around in the video. For those who are just starting out, there are two main infill settings, and you'll find them under the Strength tab in your slicer. Today I'm going to use Orca slicer because many of these patterns are the same in Bambu Studio, Creality Prints, and other software you might be using. And other software you might be using depending on your printer. The two main infill settings are density, the percentage of infill your part will have, infill pattern, which pattern will be used. In today's video, we'll focus a lot on patterns, but there's a quick summary. Density determines how many lines and how much material you have inside the part. For example, if I set 5% infill, the default, with Gyroid, we'll basically get something like this inside your 3D print. If I set 20%, the lines become much closer together, so there's a lot more material inside. That's the basic idea. In modern slicers, a lot of people confuse infill as if it's the main setting for a part strength. That's not entirely true. It definitely helps. A lot, yes. And there are patterns that improve structure, but there are other factors that make a part stronger or weaker. If you want a video specifically about strength in 3D printing, leave a comment and we can do one in the future. To choose the ideal infill pattern, you need to consider several things, like print speed, how much time you have, whether you want to save more or less material, whether the part is decorative or functional, and even the material itself. For example, if you want a more flexible part, infill will also affect the final performance. I brought an example to make this infill as internal support concept more visual. Imagine, this is a sneaker shaped like a plant pot, and we have some flat areas here with holes inside the piece. Now imagine that, add that layer in the print. If there were no infill, you'd have a pocket of air, and then suddenly a bit more material would need to print on top, completely unsupported. But with infill inside, that area is properly supported and structured. That's the main reason we use infill, to support the upper layer that will finish and close the part. One thing worth mentioning, slicers are constantly being updated, so patterns available in Orca might show up in Bambu Studio or Creality Print later. And Bambu might even release a new infill pattern before others do, so it's always good to stay up to date in case there's a new pattern that's perfect for something you need. Here on STLFLIX channel, we are always watching these updates so you know what's new. So if you are not subscribed yet, drop a like and subscribe. And remember, this is your chance to unlock STLFLIX's special release, exclusive models, commercial license options, and everything you need to create, sell, and scale your 3D printing business. So don't miss out, click the link in the description right now and secure your access before it's gone. Now, starting with the grid pattern, which for a long time was the most popular in 3D printing. Today is falling out of use. Why? It's a pattern made of straight lines. And as printers get faster and faster, printing those straight lines inside the part can increase vibration because the hot end moves much faster when it makes lines like that. And not only does it move faster, notice that during the layer, the nozzle ends up crossing over regions that have already been printed. So imagine, it prints one line, then shifts a bit and passes over it again. That can cause noise during printing, make the nozzle bump into your part, and it can even knock the part off the bed. So grid is one I don't recommend it anymore. If you are still using it on newer printers like the Bambu Lab A1 or anything similar, I recommend switching. A pattern I use a lot and has become very common is Gyroid. Basically, it's a pattern where the lines change shape and direction depending on the layer. When you look at the print across layers, the lines keep rotating orientation, but they don't cross over a line at the same height. Only lines from the previous layer. This pattern is great because it helps slow the hot end down a bit during printing. So for quality, appearance, and decorative pieces, Gyroid is a really good option. There's a pattern that's very similar to Gyroid, but made to optimize slicing, called Crosshatch. What does it do? It's basically the same kind of lines as Gyroid, but they are a bit straighter. And when the pattern changes, the lines are still more linear. That makes the G-code lighter, so the file is smaller, it takes less storage, and slices uses less of your computer. Slicing is faster. So if you slice a lot and want performance, Crosshatch is great. But it may not be the best option if you are looking for maximum strength. So we'll start talking about that in a moment. Before we talk about strength, let's talk about the champion for saving time and material, Infill Lightning. I don't usually use it, but I will show it as an option. Notice, we are at 1 hour and 50 minutes and it dropped to 54 minutes. There's almost no infill until suddenly, as the print goes up, you get small lines that gradually become denser, just enough to support the top layer when the print closes. That's Lightning. It aims for maximum savings of material and time, only to support the first top layer that closes the part. But it makes your part extremely fragile. It's purely about saving the time and material. If it's a part that will just sit there, especially if you are printing for yourself and you don't care if it ends up with thin, fragile areas, then you can use it. If you want to save on infill, I even recommend using 3 walls or more, so the part stays strong but becomes hollow and lighter. So Lightning can be a good option if you are trying to save time and material. Now let's talk about strength. In Orca Slicer specifically, they released a new infill pattern called TPMS-D. It was designed for engineers' applications. There were calculations so that forces from different directions behave more evenly. If you want to go deep on it, I recommend reading Orca Slicer's release documentation. But basically, it has a shape and direction that makes the structure more isotropic for the more technical folks. In short, it distributes stress better across the part. So for strength, it's very good. The downside is that it's a bit heavier to process. It's somewhat similar to Gyroid in slicing. And the final look is also similar. Lines changing direction, but it's more specifically designed for structure performance. A pattern I personally use more when we are talking about strength is Honeycomb. This one isn't a new at all. It's been in 3D printing for a long time. It's like the hexagonal pattern you see in honeycombs. Why do I like it for strength? I will show you inside of the part. Basically, it builds several double lines inside the piece. And when you're talking about something that will deal with compression or even layer strength, having an extra wall in each of these lines is really interesting. So whenever I think strength, this is the pattern I use. There used to be a time when Honeycomb had a structural issue. It didn't connect well to the walls. Nowadays are settings that make it extend these arcs and act like an extra wall around the part. If you really want strength, that's something worth working with. That setting, if you don't know it, is basically the infill anchor setting in the slicer. It has a maximum value, so I can raise that maximum to 150, and now if you notice, it adds almost an extra wall around the whole part. That makes it connect more to the walls. Nowadays there's also infill line multiplier, meaning multiplying the infill lines. This works for almost all patterns. So we get thicker lines in the Honeycomb. That's another option for strength. This is my favorite pattern for strength. So if you need it, I'd stick with Honeycomb or TPMS-D. And you can also use the line multiplier on the other patterns. Finally, there's one pattern I need to mention for people printing flexible filament and who really want parts to be very flexible. flexible. Here what we want is the opposite of what I just did. We don't want to reinforce the inside. What we want is for the inside to behave like the walls, so the part flexes consistently. For that, we use concentric infill. When you squeeze a flexible wall of the part, the infill behaves the same way as the walls. That's how you get the full flexible effect of the material. This one is a bit uncommon. It's for very specific cases. To summarize this video, here's a quick guide. Prototype, quick test, just to check size or fit, lightning, fastest, and saves material. Everyday use for most parts, Gyroid or Crosshatch. Both work similarly. Strength, Honeycomb or TPMS-D. And you can also play with infill line multipliers to better handle the forces your part will take. Flexible parts, max flexibility, Concentric. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will show a few patterns here. There are many others in slicers. And if there's a pattern you use for another application that I didn't mention, drop in the comments below. See you in the next one. Bye-bye!